All right. Hey there, everyone. This will be my first video back in a very long time. Uh, just the rest of the year got away from me, so I only got my first few done, and now I am back, hopefully to do more reviews. I've got my 2021 recap coming here very soon, but this will be the first official one. Just wanted to get something quick and up on the page. So, starting with, I am at the Southdale Center at the mall semi-appropriately because I just saw the documentary Gamestop Rise of the Gamers. Now, for those of you who don't know, this documentary covers the rise of the game stonk meme, essentially, from the point of view of the major players on the GameStop buying end of the story. As such, it is very, very biased in one obvious direction, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. When people talk about bias in documentary storytelling, I think sometimes it's a little bit overrated. Every story is going to have to come from a certain direction. Like, to tell a good story in a documentary, you have to have an opinion. The problem comes when that bias overrides other parts of the story, and there's a little bit of that here. The Overall, the documentary is good. It's totally competent. It tells its story from front to back, and in an engaging way, sometimes in particularly good ways. The only problem with the documentary is that it is very, very surface level. Like, for anybody who is following it as it was happening, you know there was a lot of things going on and a lot of moving pieces. And it feels like, specifically because they try to take such a narrow focus of these, I believe it's 9 particular individuals that they're mostly following through the story, you really only get their point of view for the most part. So it's pretty short, relatively speaking. I mean, it's a little over an hour and a half long, which feels long for a documentary, but this one felt like there was so many more pieces that they could have put in, mostly because they basically just talk about, it's more just following the rise and fall of the stock itself, while taking moments to talk about some of the events that led to that, but never giving you a real idea of why, how the stock market functions in a way that this could even happen. It's really, so yeah, it doesn't really give you a full overview of the full scope of what's going on. There are so many aspects of the story that are reliant on you knowing aspects of the stock market. Like, they give you just a basic idea of all the investing concepts that they're going into. You get just a basic overview of what all of these people had giving in. They do give you enough that you can follow the story, and there are some things where it's like, okay, I know what that means now. More so from the Reddit end than from the stock market end, though. But as I said, and the bigger problem with the fact that they gloss over so many of the little details, and this is where my problem with some of the biases come in, is that it glosses over, it very, very distinctly frames the stock market short sellers as the bad guys, for a decent reason. Like, it's all about how the stock market is easily manipulatable, but then kind of glosses over the fact that a lot of the Wall Street bets and the Redditor people are doing the same things. Like, there's actually a big problem on Reddit where people are doing pump and dump schemes in the same way as this. Like, it is the small investors doing the exact same thing that they're accusing just Wall Street and these hedge funds of being the big problem with, which is why it's like, so by the end of it, it feels like it just lacked that level of nuance that you get from a story that's this really complicated. That being said, it does do a good job of telling the story that, overall, I should say, it does do a good job of telling the story that it does. My big problem is that it feels like it was just part one. Like, they leave the story off when GameStop is at a high, and if you've been following it since then, it's been slowly going down. It also doesn't give you an idea of, it keeps telling you over and over again that all these people see that GameStop is a good investment, but then doesn't really give you any of the reasons why they think it's a good investment beyond just saying, well, these couple stores are turning it around, and it's not like Blockbuster. It just, it's it's not going to be like Blockbuster because they're not going to go bankrupt. And I can infer from some of the things that they're saying why they believe that, but they never actually tell you what it is. So it's like, if they want you to believe that GameStop is this great company that everybody should love, especially when GameStop is notorious for being kind of a crappy company when it comes to how they treat their customers, you hear all of the horror, like we've heard nothing but horror stories about this company for years. There's a reason why people don't want to go to GameStop as much anymore. And I know that they have been trying to change that culture, but yeah, it was so surface level and focused more on these people going through the motions than it was the actual reasons why GameStop is important or why the stock market is functioning the way it does. It just gave you nothing but, this is what happened. And these guys are the good guys, and these guys are the bad guys, and we know that because these guys have heroic music, and these guys have evil music, and that was pretty much it. So, yeah, I feel like there is a documentary to be made here. This just was not it. I was doing a small amount of research just a bit ago on this one. There was another one that apparently was made by Jordan Belfort, which I'm like, I need to check that out because I'm curious to see what his opinion is on this. Speaking of terrible people, but yeah, it's just, I am interested in hearing this story from a more nuanced perspective. Overall, I'd give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It's not bad, but it really just didn't tell it tells a story, but it doesn't tell you the full story. And yeah, there are better documentaries, and this one really isn't. Definitely don't need to go see it in theaters. You might not even need to really watch it at home. It feels incomplete. So that's what I have to say about that. Thanks for everybody for coming back. Like I said, I'll have some new videos coming up very shortly where I'm going through my entire, or as many of the movies, video games and television that I watched in the last year to give my opinions on it. Some quick reviews, maybe some stuff that you didn't see but you'd like to see, and then hopefully get some more bigger reviews coming down the line. I'm going to go see West Side Story soon. I know that came out last year, but I'll probably do a review for here anyway. Thanks for watching. My name is James, and I have been arguing semantics.